Welcome to the StinBA channel. My name is Stin, and today we'll be talking about some Charlotte Hornets basketball. As always, one thing that I have to ask is to please like or subscribe something so I can see how many people are interested in the Charlotte Hornets, and yeah, maybe we can create a community. All right, there's 4 games to talk about for this week, but before I get into the games, there's some news that I have to talk about, and it's not nice. I'm just going to get right into it. First off, for the good, JT Thor and Bryce McGowens are no longer on the injury report as of Monday, and they rejoined the lineup and they played a few minutes, so that's good for them. Now for the bad. This has not been reported by the Charlotte Hornets or PR team as of right now, but according to Steve Clifford, Cody Martin and Seth Curry are shut down for the season, and I'll play the clip.
This isn't something where there's an option off the bench that's going to allow us to go 9-2. Those 2 guys are not going to be able to come back.
If this is true, this is really unfortunate because I enjoyed watching Curry and I would like to see him return for the next season unless the Hornets could get someone better. Good vet, 3-level scorer, and it would be nice to have him coming off the bench so that the offense doesn't rely so heavily on the starters. Speaking of shutdowns, LaMelo Ball has officially been shut down for the season. That's what I was waiting to hear. I was just waiting to hear an update on LaMelo Ball. Not that I wanted him to get shut down, but I needed a concrete update. I'm not a doctor or anything. I don't know about his status or progress at this point, but this was my thought process. When he didn't come back after the All-Star break, that was questionable and it made me wonder, but as the games went on and he didn't take the court, I lost hope. I gave him one final chance, which was this recent Atlanta Hawks game, because going into that game, the Hornets had 3 full days of rest, in addition to the months that he's already missed. If he doesn't come back for that game, then he's just not going to play again this season, and that's what happened. I don't want to make this section too long because I already made a short about it, but I'm just going to say I'm upset at the reporting of these injuries and the timing of the shutdowns because I feel like this could have potentially been done weeks earlier. I feel like the only reason why they didn't officially publicly shut LaMelo down earlier was to keep hope alive and so that people would still buy tickets in hopes to potentially see him play. Very messy situation, not going to lie. And wrapping up the news, I thought that I heard Ashley Shamity say that Mark Williams will be shut down for the season on the broadcast during the Warriors game. I'm not too sure, but that's why the Hornets shouldn't be giving this information to Steve Clifford and Ashley Shamity in vague blink or you'll miss it moments. Just post it on your socials. Anyways, regarding Mark, with 9 games left and a guy that it seems like he hasn't been participating in warm-ups, I don't know, could be a possibility that he doesn't play again this season. All right, that's enough talk about the news. Now it's time to get into the games. Going into this gauntlet, the Hornets actually had what was supposed to be a light opponent in the Atlanta Hawks. That was supposed to be their easiest game of the week. The Hawks are a playing team for sure, but they're missing Trae Young, Jalen Johnson, Onyeka Okongwu, and a bunch of other names. Just looking at the rosters that were put out on the court, I'd say that this was an evenly matched game, but unfortunately, the Hornets get the script flipped on them as the Hawks got revenge for the beatdown that the Hornets gave them before the All-Star break. There's not really a ton to say about this game. Outside of a good scoring performance from Miles Bridges, everyone else was either pedestrian or bad, especially when it came to the 3-point shooting. 11 of 39 from deep. They just couldn't hit that many threes. I know that the stat sheet says that Nick Richards had a good game, but he got bullied all night. Every time when it mattered, he either got out-rebounded or scored on. He's just not a starting center in the NBA, which he wasn't brought in to be, but that's just so clear. But yeah, the Hornets lose big in an uneventful blowout, which officially eliminated the Hornets from play-in contention. Just have to say this because I saw a lot of Why risk LaMelo coming back for a team that's not making the play-in? It was probably going to have to be as a low seed, but the fact that the Hornets got eliminated this late into the season and the teams around them and in that play-in range have been either bad or mid, like, no, this was totally a chance to make the playoffs in a very weak Eastern Conference. There's no guarantee that the Hornets get to play this competition next season. That's all I'm going to say about this situation. Anyways, on to the next game. Now it's time for the Cleveland Cavaliers mini-series. Game in Cleveland on Monday, then they played the Cavs again on Wednesday in Charlotte. The first game was a competitive contest for 3 quarters where, although the Hornets were down for all of it, they were able to maintain a respectable 10 or so point deficit where I'd be comfortable and say that they'd still have a chance to win going into the fourth quarter. But Sam Merrill said no, going 3 for 3 on his 3-point attempts in the fourth quarter, and that just buried the Hornets and really put the game out of reach. Brandon Miller had a solid bounce back game, scoring an efficient 24 points after going on a really bad stretch. So he was good, but unfortunately, no one came along for the ride with him, especially Miles Bridges, as he got neutralized by the Cleveland Bigs. It just wasn't a good matchup for him. Not a ton to say about this game, but I can say that the next game on the slate was a much more interesting experience. Now for the second game against the Cavs, there was a scare in the first quarter with the Cavs' unsustainably hot 3-point shooting, but the Hornets were able to get back into the game in the second quarter and they made it an even game for all the way through. Even more so than the first game because we're talking about lead changes and the game staying within 4 or so points all the way through. In the end, Miller time happened in the closing moments of the fourth quarter as Brandon Miller just went on an amazing run to close out the game, scoring clutch buckets and even throwing a lob to Miles. With his 31 points, he just had his fingerprints all over this much needed win. I'll try and make that a goal for the Hornets. Win one game every week just so they can hold their heads high at least once a week. But yeah, I liked how Brandon Miller just put this team on his back and was the driving force for why the Hornets scored at an NBA level in this game. I also liked how Miles didn't really force the action that much and was willing to play off of Brandon at points, which helped his efficiency for sure. I like him more as a play finisher and a secondary shot creator, which is probably going to get bumped down to a tertiary shot creator now that Miller is in Charlotte. But yeah, that's where Miles is the most useful, when he's being set up for plays and ISOs on occasion. And yeah, I'd say that everyone except for Bertans had a good performance on this night. The Hornets played 7 quarters of good basketball against one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference and even got a win, so I'm satisfied with this mini series against the Cavaliers. Last game on the slate is versus the Warriors. When the Hornets first played the Warriors this season, both teams were riding high and they were on win streaks, and there was a lot of excitement going into that game just for it to be a boring 90s style basketball game with very little scoring, and unfortunately that snapped the Hornets win streak. Honestly, with the state of the Hornets right now, I wasn't expecting a good game from them, and that's what happened. Just cutting to the chase, the opening half was entertaining with Miles Bridges and Davis Bertans playing amazingly, but in the second half, it was clear that the Hornets were playing a desperate veteran team that's fighting for a play-in spot and just trying to preserve their falling dynasty and maybe get one last ring on their way out of the NBA. So that's what happened. Steph Curry and Trace Jackson Davis owned the second half for the Warriors, and for the Hornets, after having an amazing performance against the Cavs, Brandon Miller just couldn't follow that game up with another great performance as he and the team just missed 3-point shot after 3-point shot. Really unfortunate way to end the week. It would have been nice to end the week off with a win, but that didn't happen. Now that this week's over, the games on the slate for next week are Hornets versus Clippers on Sunday, Hornets versus Celtics on Monday, Hornets versus Trailblazers on Wednesday, and Hornets versus Magic on Friday. All of these games are at home in Charlotte. The Trailblazers are eliminated from playing contention, so to keep up with my 1 win a week expectations or hopes, it's looking like that Trailblazers game is the one to go all out for. But yeah, that's it.